How we doing? It's me, Kenny. Just checking in again. Just on something concerning us going too fast. I think in a lot of ways, I think a bunch of us are. I've been there myself, truthfully. I mean, you're working so much. I mean, it's it just seems like the only way to try to get ahead is to work even more, and then you focus so much more of your time into working another job that gives you an extra 20 a year if you're lucky. And I just wanted to mention to so many of us that it's great that we're doing that, and it's like all of us want to do better, and I think that's great. I mean, at least a lot of us do, and by working extra jobs, and some of you have to because of financial strife, like I did at one point. I worked 3 jobs and for about a year, and then I also got into other fields, figuring I could get ahead, like lobstering and commercial fishing, and I worked in Alaska for a while, and you work 18.5-hour days, and you're lucky if you get an hour of a full break. And then you're up and you're working 7 days a week, and there is no stopping, there is no break whatsoever, and you work for 3 months straight, and by the time you get out of there, you are so hollowed out and so worn out. And you add up all the time that you put in and all the hours and everything. Granted, you make a tremendous amount of money, close to a year's salary, if not more. You've kind of lost a lot, and for a lot of us that are running around, that are at home, that aren't working, where you're away from your family and your friends and the freedoms that we take so much for granted, you realize that there's more to it, and you kind of are asking yourself, yeah, look, I got this handful of money, but it's going to be gone in a certain period of time due to just everyday bills and anything else you can think of. So we tend to focus so much on the money. Now, I get it. Obviously, money helps tremendously. It does help. It's not everything, but it does help. And to stay on course, what I'm trying to relay to you is, at least from what I've learned, is that if you're going so fast that you don't even know where you're going in life, you're just working just to pay the bills, or just to get by, or making just enough to make your car payment, then I'd say slow down. You find time to have a couple beers with everybody. You find time to watch whatever TV show you want to watch, the season finale, or you find time to hang out, play Xbox. I mean, I was somebody that I would play Xbox, to just get away from everything, and I think a lot of us there's a lot of people, unfortunately, now that are going to illicit drugs or drinking or heroin, which is rampant right now, and that's just so crazy. But I mean, we're talking kids that are starting at 14. I mean, they don't even have a license yet, and they're already learning that, and they're getting so strong-held with such an addiction. I mean, and putting their families through the worst bane you can imagine. But I would go to Xbox to escape, and trust me, I promise you, we will talk about that with heroin addictions and depression and what leads to these things, and what we can attempt to do. Because I mean, heroin is a psychologically damaging drug. I mean, because heroin tells your brain. I always looked at it the other way. I always looked at heroin as, and I apologize, I'm drifting a bit, but I always looked at heroin as it was the physical addiction was what got people so stuck on it. When actually in 72 hours you rid it all of your system. So in 3 days' time, it's out of your system. It's a psychological thing that tells your brain that there is nothing better than that, and that's where you need to find programs that that can really work with you. And soon enough, you'll be able to see I'm working on a documentary where I'll be able to go into 2 that are actually 2 of the 2 best, or 2 of the top programs in the country that happen to take place here in Massachusetts. So I'm going to be privy to that, and I'll be able to bring all you guys in to see what's going on. And one of the things that one in particular does is they want a parent to go with whoever it is that's struggling. And if the person that's suffering from the heroin addiction doesn't have that other person, then they can't work with anyone. And they're so true to what they do that actually Mark Wahlberg, of all people, who I really admire, I give him so much credit, and I can maybe get into a story much later on. Or I'll say it right now. Years ago, I had written a screenplay. I got the opportunity to work with an incredible acting coach who worked with Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Casey Affleck, and had a part to do in the writing of Good Will Hunting. And I worked on a screenplay, and I had finished it, and I was hustling. I was living in Dorchester at the time, and I was waiting tables and really going after this passion of mine with acting. And I happened to ask around at a local liquor store, and then it just so happened that just by fate I was waiting on tables, and this guy happened to be Mark Wahlberg's uncle. And I had told him that I was working on a screenplay, and I had him envisioned as the main character. And I'd worked on it for like a year and a half, this thing, and every week I would take a train. I would walk a half a mile to the train from my apartment, and then I would take the orange line in, switch over to the red line, follow the red line all the way to the end of Alewife, and then walk 2 miles to my acting coach's house every day, all throughout the winter, you name it. I did it because I was that driven. And when you find that what it is in your heart that you want bad enough, you find a way to make it a reality. So anyway, here I am hustling and doing my thing and barely getting by because I was working at a place that wasn't like a great restaurant. But I didn't really see it at the time. I mean, it was a good restaurant, but I just wasn't making enough money. So the short and long of it is as I was dropping the check, I mentioned to him that I had written this screenplay with him in mind, and he was going to be the lead, and this and that, blah, blah. And as I was dropping the check off, the wife had said, "Well, what shifts do you work?" And I said, I work these days. She goes, "What are you working this week?" And I said, it was a Wednesday night. And I said, I'm on Thursday, I'm on Friday, and I'm scheduled to work Sunday night. And they're like, "Oh, okay, great." So as I went to hand someone else some water, behind me was the table. Mark Wahlberg's uncle was behind me, and the wife said, "Why are you leaving him so little?" He says he's going to be getting his tip very soon. So I just was kind of like, hey, wow, that's kind of neat. Like, hey, I wonder, maybe this is the guy, just the way he behaved. And I learned later that he was his uncle. So just so happens that Saturday was around Christmas time. I happened to, as a dummy, I decided to go out and go Christmas shopping. And I aggravated my brother so badly that unintentionally, of course, which I feel so horrible about my younger brother, that he was so frustrated that he got pulled over by an officer, and the state trooper, as he knocked on the window, he said, my brother wouldn't roll the window down. He said, "Hey, what the hell's your problem?" My brother says, "Hey," he says, "I'm sorry, but I was just with my brother for 2 hours, and I swear to you that guy could aggravate a priest." And then the state trooper said, "Hey, buddy, I got a brother just like that. Hey, have a good day. Have a good night. Take care." And he handed him his information back. So anyway, I decided like a dummy to go Christmas shopping. Mark Wahlberg came into my restaurant. There was someone else that worked there. He was looking for me. Said he was looking for somebody that was an actor and a screenwriter. There's another kid that was in there that wasn't a screenwriter but was just an actor. And Mark had mistaken him as this kid. Now the kid and I, we didn't, he was kind of a different kid and whatever. We had our differences. Oh boy, was I angry with that kid because he knew that it was me that wanted to be with Mark, but he just jumped on the opportunity, and I really can't fault him anyways for trying to get an opportunity to hang out with a celebrity, with us being so driven to worship so many people that are in Hollywood. So anyway, he actually brought this kid onto his set and talked to him about what was going on and what he could do, and anytime he needed any help, he'd be willing to do so. So much like Mark doing this thing now, here we are full circle to what I was talking about with these programs, and which I'll be able to film to you pretty soon. A gift to you and film for you. He had a friend that just recently that came from a lot of money. We're talking 7 figures, and he needed help. And Mark had gotten him involved with this program. So, he told him about it and this and that, and the kid showed up. And even with Mark calling ahead of time and saying what was going on, at least from what I've been told, from the source that I'll be able to bring you around and you'll meet in the video, in this documentary I'm going to shoot. The program said, sorry, like, you need to wait, there's a waiting list. And he said, well, yeah, but, I'm in here for a certain period of time and I have all this money. And they're like, we don't want your money. Like, we need to stay true to the people that need our help as it comes. So you need to wait in line. And that, to me, is what is shaping the world, which is what is in a good way, which is putting a dent in this epidemic that we are suffering from with heroin addictions. So just get back on track, because I'm looking at my webcam here and I'm seeing that I'm already into 11 minutes, so I didn't intend for this to be so long. So I'll break this in half and I'll say this is part 1, and I'll check with you in a couple. Okay? Thanks for listening, though, and I really hope some of this is helping.